thinking briefly about this program and why the Lord had brought it to my mind to put things in this fashion, and even sitting and listening to songs that I've heard literally hundreds, if not thousands of times. And why are those songs special? Why do those songs have specific meaning? And as I thought about that in my own life, and I just kind of went through the list of the kids were singing both now and previously, that's when I remember that song was helpful then, or that song was key then, or that in a moment this song was really impactful. My mind was drawn back, obviously, and you probably already get the immediate reference. In the Old Testament, in the book of 1 Samuel, chapter number 7, we have the story of a battle that takes place between the Israelites and their enemy. And the Samuel, prophet, the battle is going on, he draws near and he beseeches the Lord, and the Lord does a mighty work, and there is a vanquishing of the enemy, and the Israelites are able to drive them off and to have a considerable victory that day. And in 1 Samuel 7, verse number 12, then Samuel took a stone, set it between Mizpah and Shen, and called the name of it Ebenezer, saying, hitherto hath the Lord helped us. Of course, most of you recognize that phrase coming from Come Thou Fount. Here I raise mine Ebenezer. So we have this story of victory and this marvelous moment. And Samuel puts that stone in the middle of the field and says, hey, this is going to be a memorial. It's going to be a monument to God's goodness in this particular moment. And I always think of I connected with the victory and the wonderful thing there, and that's certainly appropriate. But I begin to think about that. Do you know that battlefield had blood on it too? Somebody lost a husband to that field. Somebody lost a son. Somebody lost a brother. There was heartache. There was difficulty. There was unpleasantness. And oftentimes we want to gloss over and we look at the Old Testament events and some of the miracles, and we say, boy, wouldn't it have been great to have been a part of that and to have that miraculous thing happen? And that's true. Why would we not want to be a part of some of those things? But those always come through difficulty. Rarely do you see a miracle happen and some wonderful event happens where there is not a cost involved. Something leading up to it. We think of Joseph and all of the miracles of seeing him rising to power within Egypt, but that comes on the heels of being maligned by others and lied about and all of those things. We see all these different problems, and we see Moses leading of the Exodus, but that comes on the heels of 400 years of slavery and difficulty. There's always problems and there's difficulties, and all we want is the end. We want the little taste at the end and say, oh, I want the victory part. Sure, we want the victory. We want to see that miraculous end, but there comes with that a price. Yes. And oftentimes we're unwilling to pay the price. We're unwilling to walk the path. We're unwilling to stick with it long enough to get to the end where the victory is available. Guess what? They could have in this moment, the battle starts and says, wow, that Philistine army is too big. Wow, the cost is too high. We're tucking tail, we're going for home. We wouldn't have an Ebenezer laying in the middle of the field, a testament of God's goodness and God's sovereignty and supremacy in the moment. We'd have simply had a story of a cowardly loss. They would have snatched, as the old phrase, the twisting of an old phrase, they would have snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Each one of these songs, maybe not for you, but for me, every one of these songs is a little Ebenezer. That's a little monument, it's a little testament of a time in my life, a specific thing that I can remember where God did a miraculous work. Maybe not earth-shattering, rending the heavens miracle, but God did a work and he helped me. How about you and I make it our goal every day to see those Ebenezers, to see those moments in the day where we're walking through and things are not pleasant, but we are going to stay with it. We're going to continue the path knowing that the victory is certain because God's promised it. Here I raise mine Ebenezer, hither by thy help I'm come. God has brought me this far, and I'm going to stay with it. I'm going to watch him do again and again what he's already done. And every time you hear one of these songs, it ought to be a reminder that tomorrow you're going to face a difficulty. But there's an Ebenezer waiting for that as well. Yeah. There's a stone of victory Because it's the same God. He's the almighty, unchangeable God. And when he helped you a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, back when you were a child and you came to saving grace, that same God who has seen you through every one of those problems is going to see you through tomorrow's, next year's, next decades.
Absolutely.
Only if you approach and you stay on the battlefield. Only if you stay with until his victory comes, in whatever form that takes. But it's God's victory. He's promised it, and we ought not miss it because we turn tail and run because we're not willing to pay the price. Let's raise our Ebenezers. Let's praise God in every respect. Let's see his hand of goodness in every part of our lives. May these songs and the songs in your future path that are reminders of these, may they be precious to us, and may they remind us and draw us back to the goodness of God and how he's been so faithful to us. We're going to pray, and we will be dismissed.